Hi, TikTok friends. I'm back with another update. If you've been following me, you know that I have been using this platform to post about my health journey. As somebody who is over 40 and has been experiencing some health challenges in recent months, and who has been, in part, addressing some of those health challenges through a prescribed GLP-1 medication. Yesterday, I skipped my normal update and instead did a little beard care tutorial and product demonstration. Well, more of product recommendation, because people were asking me about my beard, and so I figured we'd take a little detour. But today I'm back with the normal update. So this is day 6 of week 3 on my GLP-1 journey here, and things are going pretty well. What I would say first and foremost is that the number on the scale has not been going down dramatically this week like it did in weeks 1 and 2, and I'm okay with that because the number on the scale is not the only metric of success, and it probably shouldn't be. My blood pressure readings have been much better, and that's important. But also, I've noticed that my clothes are fitting differently. Case in point, when I started on this journey only a few weeks ago, my belt was typically like 3 notches away from the last sort of hole, last sort of notch on the belt. As of yesterday, I was on the last notch on the belt. So I might need to get a new belt. So I'm losing inches. So why would the number on the scale not be going down if I'm clearly losing inches and my clothes are fitting more loosely? Well, there's a lot of reasons why the scale doesn't necessarily show you, the true picture when it comes to fat loss, because you could be retaining fluid because you have too much sodium in your system. You could be putting on muscle, and muscle per square inch weighs more than fat. And you could also, because you have slower gastric emptying, be carrying your meals in your stomach longer. You may be constipated. I know I'm not, because I've been taking my fiber and probiotic gummies. I've been taking magnesium citrate at night. And I've been using psyllium husk, benefiber in my case, in at least one drink a day to keep things moving. So I know that's not the case with me, but I do think the other two reasons could be part of why the scale itself hasn't gone down more than a handful of ounces this week, whereas in week 1 and 2, I lost a lot and the scale showed a significant difference. So I'm not sweating it because my clothes are fitting better. My energy level is really high. And I know I'm doing all of the right things in terms of eating in a nutritionally sound way. I also know that the GLP-1 medications, in terms of their positive effects, are working, because the food noise, the sort of continuous sense of needing to eat even when you're not physically hungry, that voice in your head that tells you to snack in between meals when you don't really need to, that convinces you that your blood sugar is low when it's not, those sort of food noise voices are not present currently. But I'm hungry when I need to be. So there's a little bit of a misconception that these medications are supposed to be like an absolute appetite suppressant. Well, we don't want that. You need to eat to live, and you need to eat healthy in order to get your nutrients. So you don't want to be completely not hungry. In fact, I would argue that 100% appetite suppression on a medication like this is actually more of a side effect than it is a benefit. You should be hungry. You just shouldn't be hungry around the clock. You should be hungry at mealtime. You should be able to eat enough to feel satiated. You shouldn't eat beyond your point of satiation, and you should be able to detect when you're satisfied and full. All of those things are happening for me right now. In the first couple of weeks, I had a bit of nausea. That's not really happening for me now toward the end of week 3. Not really having nausea anymore. The only time I feel a sense of nausea is when I am maybe getting to the point of eating too much, and that sort of, maybe if that little trigger in my head that says you're full, um, maybe isn't loud enough, or I'm kind of ignoring it and continuing to eat what's on my plate, then I might start to feel a nausea trigger. And that's my body saying, no, really, you really can stop here. And it is enough. So that's really the only time. Also, there are some foods, particularly ones that I used to crave. In my case, peanut butter, as an example. Used to love peanut butter, and it was kind of my go-to snack. It does make me a little bit nauseous now for some reason. if I eat some, I kind of get a little bit of a queasy feeling. So other than that, no major side effects because I have learned a lot from the TikTok community and from my medical providers about how to mitigate a lot of the potential side effects. I'm also just on the sort of introductory dose, the loading dose, as it's sometimes described, of 2.5 milligrams. So the other thing that I did this week that was a little bit different is I decided to pursue getting some additional support for my health journey by signing up with a telehealth organization to get some compound medication of my prescribed medicine because there are presently shortages. And some people are having good luck getting the loading dose still, and it's the only one that is not in, officially in short supply. But these supply chain issues are really causing a problem. And my pharmacy has indicated to me that it might be difficult to get my branded medication through my prescription on time for me to take my fifth dose, my first of my second box. So, as an insurance policy, I've set myself up through a telehealth organization to get some compounded version through a licensed and regulated compounding pharmacy so that I can continue on this health journey uninterrupted. That's really important to me because I've made so much progress in the first part of this first month on this journey that I'm not really willing to let sort of supply chain issues, uh, derail my health. And so it's good to know that there are options out there for me. And I've had some friends who are advocates for this who have made some suggestions for where I can go to make sure that my supply of my medicine persists. And I'm extremely appreciative of that. And while I've made an investment out of pocket because my insurance doesn't cover compounded medication, it seems like it is well worth it so that I don't have any interruptions and I don't lose any ground on the progress I've made so far. Overall, my sort of health profile is looking up. My blood pressure is much better than it was. My energy level is very high. My fatigue is much lower than it was. I am not experiencing joint pain and muscle tension like I was kind of regularly before. I used to have to treat myself with an NSAID painkiller on a regular basis and over the counter in order to, deal with joint pain and neck pain and muscle tension that seemed to persist no matter what I did. That seems to have alleviated. So that may have some, relationship to this new health journey I'm on, and the medication that seems to be helping me as well. So I'm not sure, but it seems like overall inflammation seems to be down as a result, and therefore I'm feeling better physically overall. My mood is really good too, and that's another thing that stood out to me is that I've felt sort of a lift in my mood and a reduction in overall anxiety. And that is kind of an amazing effect here because people use different types of medication to treat those individual symptoms. And I feel like I am now treating a root cause as opposed to going after band-aiding, doing quick fixes to help with the symptoms. I'm actually taking a medication and getting healthcare that is focused on treating a root cause issue of those symptoms instead of just treating the symptoms, which is part of the reason why I've started to think of this as a treatment for metabolic dysfunction. A lot of people are out there talking about weight loss. And I think it is better for us to focus on instead the weight being really a symptom of the problem, not the problem itself. The problem itself is a metabolic dysfunction. And some of us just don't have the alignment in our systems to overcome that metabolic dysfunction naturally, and therefore need sometimes a medical intervention, a pharmaceutical intervention to help us resolve that root cause. So, it's sort of like the idea of if you had a bleeding disorder, you wouldn't just treat it with a band-aid. That's going to stop the bleeding, but it's not going to stop the root cause. And so in this case, I'm thinking of, the weight is kind of like the bleeding in a bleeding disorder. And the root cause are the metabolic dysfunctions that these medications help people like me resolve. So let's think of it that way and maybe overcome some of the stigma that's associated when people make it just about weight. I'll keep you updated.